everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome to the presentation. I appreciate all you guys being here, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate you guys being here. That's interesting too, Mr. Producer. I'm just noticing this on the platform. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, apparently, for those of you who are just tuning in, I don't know why, but apparently there was this great, big, huge update with. There was updates on Androids and there was updates on iMac and iPads and this and you this. Well, apparently on these brilliant thinkers who decide to do updates, you guys, if you guys know, apparently I don't know what the issue is. I don't know why. But first of all, hello, I'm Bishop Long and welcome to Paranormal Fridays. Okay. Well, I went to my groups because normally when I'm finally am able to have free time, I'm able to look at my groups, update information that I need to do. And that's usually very late, regrettably, but that's the only time. I mean, and then I got to start 5 o'clock in the morning with your ministry. But I don't know what in the world they did. But apparently when I went to my groups, it is cutting off the the banner. When you go to your group on Facebook, you go to and it'll say files and photos and videos, all that other stuff. First it has the big banner, and then underneath that it has your files and photos and videos and discussion, whatever. Well, that's gone. That's gone. I don't know where it went. And I can't, if you guys understand, I don't know how to fix that. It's driving me insane because I do a lot of work at night when I finally get home and, going to Facebook groups and all this other stuff. And if you guys can tell me how to fix that, but I don't know how. Because when I go into the desktop was working. So I go to the desktop, I can see the banner, I can see the about, discussion, featured topics, members, events, media files. I can see all that. But when I'm checking my iPad, nope, can't do it. Can't see it. I don't see the banner. I don't even see the name of the group underneath it. So I don't know. But apparently they did some why do you turn off comments on Mondays? Well, on Mondays I don't. On Mondays I do not turn comments off. So the comments are actually on. The only time that I turn comments off is on Sundays. And the reason, I'm sorry, not Sundays, but Wednesdays on TikTok. And the reason is I do that is because our moderators want to enjoy the Bible study, and regrettably they can't because there's a lot of people who go in and they cause a lot of problems and just cause a lot of distractions and say a lot of nasty, horrible things. And so they really can't enjoy Bible study on Wednesdays. So they're constantly blocking and muting. And so that's on Wednesdays is the only time. That's the only time we have, we turn the comments off on TikTok. But again, I want to remind everybody also, for those of you who are just joining, welcome. Please do yourself a favor. And I mean this, do yourself a favor. Please go to kgradb.com. KGRAD as in dog and B as in boy.com. KGRADB.com. And make sure you subscribe there. They have some amazing shows, paranormal shows there. So if you love the paranormal like I do, you need to subscribe. But make sure you put Bishop in there as your promo code. Okay, because you're going to get 30% off your subscription. Look, anytime you can get 30% off a subscription, you need to take advantage of it. So do yourself a favor, go to kgradb.com and then click on, make sure you put Bishop as your promo code. I'm telling you, it really is. I do. Matter of fact, I offer classes online. So it's an online, I teach online classes. You learn at your own pace. And I teach angelology. I teach demonology, genealogy, and I also teach paranormal studies. You learn all 4 courses. And so you can take these classes online. You learn at your own pace at bishopjameslong.com. That's where you need to go, bishopjameslong, LONG.com, and just click on the class link. And if you click on the class link, there you go. It takes you right to the class, and you can enroll. Of course, the funds go to supporting the ministry, so that I can continue to drive to people's homes and pay for the expenses. We do not get paid as clergy. I've said this a million times. So with this is 100%. Thank you very much for the gifts. I appreciate that. So we do not get paid as clergy. This is 100% free what we do, and I've never charged ever for being in this ministry. So that's how we get to people's homes, is the people help. And there we go. Okay, if you want to learn about me, people keep asking the same question over and over again, and I've answered these questions so many times. If you want to know my history, all you got to do is go to bishopjameslong.com, and it's there. If you want to go to the church's website, go to usocc.org. It is there. So we do have apostolic succession, and if those of you who understand that, you can go and you can check it out. usocc.org. That's the name of the website, the church's website, and bishopjameslong, LONG.com. Just seems like that keeps getting the same question is repetitive. And no sooner than I answer it, then 5 seconds later, someone asks the same question. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to play that game. So usocc.org, that's the website, and bishopjameslong.com. Okay. There you go. And we're going to go from there. All right. So, demons. Okay. Keep in mind, demons are fallen angels. And so you have to always be very careful. The demonic entities are very smart. They are not just created beings yesterday. They're very patient. They're very opportunistic, and they will wait until the perfect time for them to attack. And that's what a demonic, because these are parasites. They're cowards, and they are spirit beings that have such a distaste towards God and towards us. And so you have to always be very careful. And for those of you who are offering gifts on TikTok, I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's very, very kind. So just be very cautious. If you're a paranormal investigator, and I've said this countless times in 20 years, when you investigate the paranormal, you need to understand the dangers that come with that. There are dangers that come with paranormal investigating, just as there are dangers with, deep sea diving and swimming with the great whites. There are, or jumping out of an airplane with a parachute. I mean, hopefully, obviously, there are dangers. There are consequences for our actions. And people want to just think that paranormal investigating is free from any type of harm and any type of danger. And that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And I guess paranormal investigators don't like me saying that, but that is the truth. Because you don't know what you're speaking or to whom you're speaking with. And so I always tell people, you got to be very careful. If you're investigating, you need to be with people who are seasoned investigators, not individuals who are playing demonologist and going into the places and provoking demons. And that's what's happening in the paranormal community. You have people playing exorcist, you have people playing demonologist, and they go into a location with a bunch of people, and they want to let everybody know how tough they are. And they say, come on, demon, I dare you to do something to me. God, they pump their chest out big, and they think that they're doing something smart. And actually, they're doing something idiotic. Because not only are they putting themselves in jeopardy, but they're putting every single person who is present at that moment in jeopardy. And that's irresponsible. And it certainly is not a demonologist. A demonologist would never place themselves or anyone in harm. So anybody who's claiming to be a demonologist, who goes around and pumps their chest all big and bad and think they're King Kong by beating their chest and saying, come on, demon, I dare you to do something to me. Well, this person is not trained. They're not validly trained. They're doing it for a show. And they're doing, and what they're doing also is they're not provoking, they are inviting. And if they don't understand the difference between provocation and invitation, then they probably shouldn't call themselves the demonologist. But unfortunately, that occurs a lot. You're right. The quiet sailor said they're asking for trouble. They certainly are. And it really is. It's true. Very, very true. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful about any type of conversation or communication, and certainly do not go and pump your chest and act like you're all Mr. Tough Guy and provoking. It's just unbelievable. But it happens. It's happening all the time. No, I'm not a big fan. No, I don't like a mass deliverance service. No, I don't like that. No, I'm not a fan of that at all. Someone on Facebook is asking, have you ever been to a mass deliverance service? Mass, we're not talking about Catholic mass. We're talking about a deliverance service where it's a bunch of people in a room, and you put this unity service where you deliver everybody. No, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think it is wrong. I think it's irresponsible. And I certainly would never participate in such activity. And there's a reason. And here's what I mean by this. Okay, everybody. So listen carefully. A mass deliverance service is when you have a bunch of people in a room, and then you begin to pray for the removal of the demonic entity that has attached itself to these people. And then people started falling down. They start shaking, foaming at the mouth, and barking, and all this other stuff. First of all, there are several reasons why I find this abominable. Number one, there has been no psychological evaluation done on these people. None. That is irresponsible. And I don't care if people like this or not. I shoot from the hip, and those of you who know me know that I don't sugarcoat things. And if you have a bunch of people in the room and you start praying that the demon is removed from this person, that infuriates me, because there has been no psychological evaluation performed on these individuals. What you are doing, in fact, is if someone is suffering from a psychological issue, you are feeding into the psychosis. That is wrong. That is unbelievably evil to do that. No matter what your intention may be, you could cause irreversible harm to this individual on a psychological level. Because if they have paranoid schizophrenia, you could put them in a manic state. Or if they have dissociative identity disorder, multiple personality, you can create another personality, another identity. So I just find it abominable that anybody would do this without having the psychological evaluation first. This is not a game. This is quite dangerous. And I'm sick and tired of people playing exorcist, and they're doing it because, number one, many of them charge. I've never charged one penny in the 20 years that I've been in it, not one dime. And these mass deliverance things, I find it very troubling, because when you start digging a little deeper, you start finding that there have been pastors who do these mass deliverances, and then you are paid. These pastors are paid an extra fee if you go up on stage with them. It's a performance. It's entertainment hour. And I do not like it. I will never I will never sensationalize a very sacred prayer for the sake of entertainment. This is between that person, God, and the clergy. And we have now gotten into a society where now we have made exorcisms and deliverance entertainment hour. Grab the popcorn, grab the Coke, let's sit down and watch the fun entertainment. We have crossed the lines of sacred rights. We just crossed it. We just passed it. Let's just sit down and instead of going to the movies, instead of going to the cinemas and watching a movie, let's go to one of these little entertainment hours. I'm not saying that all of them are. The question is, do I like mass deliverances? The answer is no, absolutely not. Number one, there has been no psychological evaluation performed on these people. None. Two, there is a term in psychology. It's called religious ideation. And what that means is, for example, have you ever watched a video where the preacher go like that, and everybody just falls down automatically? Or you go up on stage, and they throw their coat at them, and all of a sudden they fall down. Well, that's actually a psychological term. It's religious ideation, where you see everyone acting in a particular way, and then it's your turn. The lights are on you, the cameras are on you, the people are watching, and immediately before you know it, your brain tells you this is how you're supposed to respond. So from that perspective, I find it very troubling. I will not ever turn the sacred right or rights into entertainment hour for people to enjoy, to sit and watch and eat your popcorn and drink your Cokes. That will never happen. It will be a cold day in hell before I would ever. No one can offer me enough money to ever perform an exorcism on camera for entertainment. To post it on social media or on television or anywhere else. I don't care. And I've been offered television shows. I was offered a television show when I was doing a paranormal conference, when I was doing a lecture on demonology in front of a whole room of people. A particular network contacted me and said, Bishop Long, the show has been greenlit, which means it's a go. And the show is about you performing exorcisms on people on camera. And I told him, I said, you know what? Here's what you need to do. You need to stop. And what you need to do right now is go to church. And you need to get on your knees and you need to pray to God and ask for forgiveness for what you've just done. So don't ever contact me again. Don't ever contact me again. And this was literally in the middle of doing a presentation. And I had it on speakerphone and I hung up on him. I don't care how, and they were offering all kinds of nice money and enticements and all this other stuff. No, don't come at me with that. Matter of fact, what you're going to do is you're going to get a lecture. I don't care what you offer me. I don't care how much money you offer me. I don't care. That's the devil. That's the devil speaking. I'm very firm on this. There are some things that I am flexible on as far as some. This I am not flexible on. I am as solid as concrete, as steel, and I will never change my mind on this under any circumstances. Under any circumstances. So that is what people ask me all the time. Why did I join the Old Catholic Church? Well, and I've talked about this all before. You know, I was studying for the Roman Catholic priesthood. I was in the Roman Catholic seminary. I was very content, very happy. And I was a year and a half away from being a priest. Received my minor orders. I studied with the Benedictines and the Jesuits. And through prayer, God was saying, James, over here, I want you to look at this. I brought this to my spiritual director. And I presented it and said, look, what do I do with this? I don't know how to handle it. I mean, my life was all planned out for me. I mean, I had all my plans since I was 5 years old. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to be. And here I am. And we're on that road. And what is this? What is this calling? And my spiritual director at that time, who was a Roman Catholic priest, said, James, you need to take this to prayer and you need to take it seriously. You don't need to ignore this. Because if you're getting a calling from God to serve in this ministry, you need to answer. So for anybody who doesn't like the fact that I'm with the United States Old Catholic Church, then take it up with God. Don't take it up with me. I really don't care. Take it up with the Alpha and the Omega, the creator of all things, the one who will judge you, just as those of you who are judging me. I really don't care. Because I have decided many years ago that, and it was not an easy decision. This was a very, very difficult decision for me. I was quite content with remaining in the church, the Roman church, and I had my whole life planned out. Everything was planned. And then God said, no, I need you over here. That was not planned at all. At all. I mean, you got my family was very proud that my mom was very proud that her son was going to be a Roman Catholic priest. The parish was very, very happy that they had a seminarian studying for the priesthood because we hadn't had one in years and years and years. And it was good. Everything, life was great. Loved the seminary. Loved it. One of the best years of my life. Never, ever did I expect God to say, over here. Let's take a look at this. And that was not an easy decision. That was a very, very difficult decision to make. And so I accepted God's call. It has not been easy. It has been a very difficult road by not only, of course, just me accepting this call and saying, okay, God, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I will accept it. But the haters have been intense. The haters have been unbelievably horrible, cruel. But I have very thick skin. But you see, the haters will have to, just like someone just got muted there, the haters will have to talk to God about this. And so if you attack me because of my calling, then you're attacking the very one who called me to serve in this ministry. That's pretty damn dumb to do. Just saying. I wouldn't do it. So, yep, that's right. Amen to that. No, absolutely not. I still have friends that are Roman Catholic. I have clergy. I have priest friends that are Roman Catholic. I don't believe the Pope is evil. I don't believe the Pope is the Antichrist. No, come on, folks. You know, the church has done there have been clergy have done terrible things in the church, but that doesn't define the church. It's individuals who made stupid decisions and who needed help and who did terrible things, and they're no longer in clergy, and they should no longer be in clergy ever under any circumstances. So, but that doesn't make, I have friends that are Roman Catholics, that are Baptists, that are Buddhists, that are Jewish, that are agnostic, that are Muslim, that I have friends from all walks of life. That's it. So, yeah, it's one of those things. It's one of those things. It's kind of, oh, no, in the old Catholic Church, we can, in the old Catholic Church, we can be married, or we can be single. I've chosen to take the vow of celibacy. I'm also a Benedictine. So Benedictine spirituality is very important to me. So there's a little bit about me. Okay, so let's get into the paranormal. Yeah, Lorraine and Ed Warren, I knew Lorraine. Of course, I didn't know Ed, but I did know Lorraine. She was a friend, and she was I thought very highly of Lorraine. And thank you. And Casey, thank you. And thank you for those of you who are offering gifts on TikTok. Thank you. I thought highly of Lorraine. I love Lorraine. She was just a sweetheart of a woman. Very, very devoted. She saw what she did was ministry. She absolutely was convinced that what she did was ministry. And she, believe me, she heard it too, folks. She was very devoted and dedicated. She was very devoted in her faith. And she heard all the hate talk too, because, as a psychic medium, she was bashed constantly. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Oh, yes. Oh, I have no question. Kay Potlinger, is that it? Yes, absolutely. I know that there's demon possession today. I've performed 30 exorcisms on individuals who are validly possessed, and I've performed exorcisms on in the past 20 years. So there's no question that possession is still occurring. No question at all. No doubt about that. None. All right. TAPU, you want to be a pastor, but you don't know how to go about doing that. Well, it depends on what denomination you are. Each denomination has their own rules and regulations. So I don't know what denomination you are. If you are Christian, if you are, I don't know. But most denominations have their own requirement and guideline that you have to follow. So whatever that might be, you just have to check that out. Okay. All right. Tonight, I want to talk about. I will get into your questions, your demonology questions, your paranormal questions. We'll definitely get into that, folks. I promise you that. You know that I will. But I normally always have a topic that I like to discuss to kind of get you guys to talk about the paranormal and anything. You're a Baptist. Well, then in that case, I know a lot of friends who are Baptist and who are Baptist pastors. And what they'll do is go to their church elders. And there are many. So whatever church that you belong to, go to the elders or to the individuals. If you have an organization that has vocations, then you would have to. That's where you start. Okay. So good luck to you. Certainly we'll be praying. So that's what you would. I would assume if you are a Baptist, and that your parish, your church would have elders to go to go there. I have, Robert. I have been to the Exorcist house. I was there on Exorcism Live in 2015 with my friend Chip Coffey when we did a live presentation there, a live show. Again, if you want to go, folks, I just answered the question. If you want to go to the church, usocc.org. Okay, and you can find all the information there. usocc.org. All righty. So I've already kind of gone over my whole background. I'm not going to repeat that because it just takes time away from the show. So again, usocc.org. So if anybody, so moderators on TikTok, if people are asking, so what is your faith again? Just say usocc.org. Go there. All right, everybody. So listen to this. This is very interesting. I want to present this topic to you. I don't like voodoo at all. I'll get you your paranormal questions in a minute. I promise you. At the top of the hour, I'll answer your questions. I promise. Well, thank you, Melissa. That's very kind of you. That's very, very kind of you. I would love to have Chip on here. Yeah, maybe I'll give him a call and say, hey, you want to come up here? And yeah. Now I'll tell you, Chip, he will not do readings. But he'll be more than happy to come on and well, I don't know if he will. I don't know if his schedule will allow it, but I'll call Chip. Okay. Yeah, Chip and I love Chip. He's a great guy. This is what I want to get to for 30 minutes. Have you heard this story? The Blood Countess of Hungary. Was Elizabeth Bathory a vampire? Have you heard this story? It's very interesting. This is from Historic Mysteries. So got to give credit where credit is due. I saw this article and I thought, I got to talk about this. I've got to talk about this. Listen to this, everybody. And then I promise you, I'll get to your paranormal questions at the top of the hour. If the rumors of her life were true, Elizabeth Bathory, known as the Blood Countess of Hungary, was the most prolific female serial killers in history. supposedly responsible for the deaths of 650 girls. Think about that, folks. 650 girls. A tally which led to her to be included in the Guinness Book of Records. She would bathe, this is a term, she would bathe and drink the blood of her servants and peasants to make her feel younger. Folks, and here's the scary part about this. This is a true story. So if you've never heard of this story, just listen to this. Okay, just hold on for the questions. Just hold on for the questions. Many suspect she may have been more than human, and so bloodthirsty was her wrath that she became the inspiration from Bram Stoker's Dracula. The methods of torture she used to make the torture devices and practices of the Spanish Inquisition look like a day in the spa. But was she a vampire? And in truth, was she guilty of all these crimes? It's time to meet the Blood Countess of Hungary. So here's her story. Countess Elizabeth Bathory was born in 1560 in Royal Hungary, and the Countess came from a very influential family. Her parents were both Bathory, and her father was Baron George Bathory, and of the Bathory family, and her mother was Baroness Anna Bathory. So these people were well off. Two of her uncles, by the way, were voivodes of Transylvania. Now, a voivode was the highest ranking government official of Transylvania in the Kingdom of Hungary. It's a military leader and effectively a warlord. So the most notable relative, however, was her uncle Stephen Bathory, who was the king of Poland, the Grand Duke of Lithuania and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and the Prince of Transylvania. So you're getting an idea. This is a person who was well-to-do, who had a very powerful and influential family. Now, here's what's interesting. Many people don't know this about her. Listen to this. This is very, very interesting. When I read this, I thought, man, I got to share this. Elizabeth was wealthy, beautiful, and educated. She could read, write, spoke several different languages. The one imperfect thing about her life was that Elizabeth had seizures as a child. Many suggest that her parents' inbreeding caused their child to suffer from the, quote, falling sickness. Otherwise, at that time, was known as epilepsy. So this is what they would do. When I read this, I thought, wow. Standard treatment for epilepsy at this time in the 16th century was consuming or rubbing the blood of someone who didn't have the illness on the patient. Her thirst for blood, it would seem, began at an early age. I never, ever knew this. Never knew that. Well, at the age of 11 or 12, Elizabeth Bathory became engaged, to Count Ferenc Nadasdy, who married at the age of 15 in 1575. The marriage was likely arranged for political purposes. As a wedding gift from her new husband, the ownership of Castle was given to Elizabeth. Now, the castle was located at present-day Slovakia and came with a summer house and dominion over 17 local villages. However, again, there were strange features of this gift. To please his new wife, Nadasdy was said to have built a torture chamber at the castle. Elizabeth had apparently specifically requested it. So Count Ferenc was a notable soldier, rumored to be cruel to servants and prisoners. He had a hobby of throwing Turkish prisoners into thin air and catching them with his sword, impaling them. And it was legal to discipline servants physically because nobody would miss them. So this gave a couple free rein to apparently torture their staff. And Ferenc may have even had been the one who taught her about torture and murder. And it's believed that the couple indulged in this sadism together. They actually enjoyed it. So in 1575, Count Ferenc became the chief commander of the Hungarian army and left Elizabeth Bathory alone while he fought against the Ottomans. And in his absence, Countess Elizabeth managed his affairs and was responsible for the peasants in the 17 villages that came with this castle. So although away for long periods of times, it seemed that the marriage was somewhat successful, lasting until 1604, with at least 3 children. However, after around 30 years of marriage, the Count Nadasdy died due to illness, and many believe Bathory may have poisoned him. And in the wake of her husband's death, Countess Bathory's torture hobby became a full-fledged addiction. So with the aid of a dwarf, the wet nurse of her children, 2 witches, and her closest confidant and a possible lover, Anna Darvulia, Elizabeth started to become worryingly obsessed with torture and murder. And girls in the local villages had begun to disappear, never to return. And her 5 associates were known to kidnap children to bring to the Countess. And Elizabeth Bathory is known as the Blood Countess, after word spread about her unique routine of bathing in the blood of virgin girls with a desire to be younger. And Elizabeth Bathory frequently would have girls killed and cut open after torture in a bathtub. She would later bathe in the blood, earning her name the Blood Countess. So this castle actually began offering jobs to young peasant girls who went to work for the Blood Countess. But after a few disappearances, it became clear that this was dangerous work. However, after a time, Elizabeth noticed that she was aging and concluded that the servants' blood wasn't working like it used to. It must have been because they were poor, she reasoned. Their blood was no longer suitable. Well, what the Blood Countess did to access better blood was to create a gynoeceum. Well, again, it's a school where young girls of the lesser gentry were sent to learn courtly etiquette. However, here she made a fatal error. Had the Blood Countess kept killing peasant girls, it's possible she could have continued her cruelty undetected. However, using this school to kill women of higher social standing, you see, led to the investigation of the century. So in December of 1610, the police of Hungary, that's a top judge in this case under the king, was sent to investigate this castle, and he began gathering statements from witnesses about the cruelty of Elizabeth Bathory, almost 300 statements in total. And armed with the testimony, this judge raided the castle one night and walked in on Countess torturing a young girl, caught with blood on her hands, literally. The Blood Countess and her now 4 accomplices were taken to trial. And a servant testified that she saw a castle document listing her victim count as 650. So her 4 co-conspirators were to be executed. The wet nurse and the 2 witches were burned alive. And because the dwarf was so young, he was beheaded as a less adult way of execution, as they put it. So due to her social rank, isn't this interesting? This is so disturbing. Due to her social rank, Elizabeth did not attend her trial and was sentenced to house arrest in her castle, locked in a windowless room. Her accomplices were executed, and in 1614, the Blood Countess died. I just, that is so appalling to me. That is so appalling. It's appalling, the whole thing. But the list of crimes were extensive. It was said that the Countess would torture the girls by beating them to death, biting chunks out of their faces and breast. She stabbed and cut the girls with scissors, burned the faces and the private parts of girls with a hot iron, and starved those who survived. Now, most of her torture methods, including covering girls in honey. When I read this, I thought, okay, this woman. So she covered the girls in honey and leaving them outside, locking nude girls outside in the winter. She would hook 2 fingers into the girls' mouths and pull until their lips and cheeks split. It was also said to have made a girl cut off her chest and cook it and eat it. This is an unbelievably sick, you're right, a true psychopath. So true gruesome to be true, you say. It is certainly possible that the stories were exaggerated or wholly fabricated, and many historians have dismissed the crimes of bloody rituals as myths from the past that remain today. Most of Elizabeth's story is thought to be largely embellished, and a lot of false information about the Countess was spread and can be refuted. None of the dramatic claims about torture or blood drinking have been proven true. They are seen as rumors and book contents writers added to spice up the horror stories about her. Her friends confessed on her torture and likely gave false confessions, using the Countess as a scapegoat. Now, epidemics were rampant in the 15th and 16th centuries. As a royal, killing servants would be foolish because due to an illness and death, she would be short-staffed and have to do the work on her own. Now, historic documents show that many girls had died from plague and typhus. All the deaths were recorded in the castle's records. So members of the lower gentry would not have sent their girls to this expensive school if they believed that she was killing people. So Anna Dervilla wasn't a witch at all, but rather a healer who specialized in bloodletting. Healing wounds with hot irons and surgical procedures like removing tumors. Elizabeth was fascinated by medicine and healers, and with sick girls at her castle would have wanted a healer like Dervilla. Now, the trials and accusations may have been a political scandal. The Bathory and Nadasti families had control over a lot of land and castles and control. Tarnishing the names of the 2 families would have led them to lose everything. So furthermore, the King of Hungary owed Elizabeth a large sum of money, and he didn't need to repay the Countess if she was locked away or dead. So Thurzo was sent by the king to investigate if she were out of the way. Her land and money would go to them. Elizabeth, a powerful woman outside of control of men, may also have been seen as a threat to the powers that be. So here's the other side of the coin. Now, even her vampiric tendencies are somewhat uncertain. Consuming blood to treat epilepsy dates back to ancient Greece, actually. The blood of gladiators was given to epileptic people along with ground skulls or eating the flesh of a newly dead person. Pretty gross. Her drinking or smearing blood on her after a seizure was standard medical treatment and not a sign of vampirism. So the rumors of blood bathing came from one author's claim. So keep that in mind. This may have been, she may not absolutely under any circumstances. Oh, you're part Hungarian. I'm curious to see if, what do you think about this? So all these rumors of her, of the blood bathing, it only came from one author's claim. Did you know this? 100 years after Elizabeth died. So the truth is, according to this article, it is unlikely she did any blood bathing because it would take the blood of over 30 adults to fill a tub. And in reality, Elizabeth Bathory was a countess who was blamed for things she did not do and had to suffer the consequences. Was she innocent? It cannot be said. Was she a victim? Well, according to this author, it would likely seem to be so. In part, she was. So I'm curious, isn't that, when I read that, I thought, man, I have got to share this with everybody, because I've always heard this story. I've always heard it. And when I read about it, and I thought, my goodness, as a matter of fact, I think in one of the movies, in one of the Hostel movies, have you seen the Hostel movies? It's pretty serious stuff. There was a scene where this woman did exactly that. She would, cut someone and then obviously enjoy the bathing of that blood. And that was based on Elizabeth Matt. But a lot of people are saying this is not true. And I've always said, follow the money. Well, the old saying, follow the money. And she had a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of influence. And I could see where, in fact, I could see where she may have been set up. And I definitely believe, based on what I have read about her, I do believe she suffered from epilepsy. And I do believe that they certainly used blood to smear and even drink on the body after an epileptic attack. And perhaps maybe she did gain the taste of blood. And from there, the rest is history. We simply don't know. But it is interesting. And so I don't know. I wish there was more. When you have things like this, I wish there was more studies on it, because, this is a person, a historical individual, and she was quite wealthy, quite powerful, quite influential. And women, you got to keep in mind, women, they certainly didn't hold the status at this time, the 15th, 16th century, or really until recent, at least in America. And even some countries, they still don't. They don't hold the status as that of a man, which is stupid. But we all know that's cultural, and we get it. And that's also control. But when you have a woman that is quite powerful and quite wealthy, and you have the king who found her to be and owed a lot of money to her, well, what's the easy way to deal with that? The easy way to deal with without having to repay? Investigate. Send a judge to her and say, oh my gosh, look at what you did. Because I'm thinking, even so, you silence her co-conspirators by executing them. So you silence their voice, and you lock her away up in a castle. It would seem to me that if she truly killed 650 girls, by torturing them, as the urban legend says she did, it would seem, even a woman in her status, that the people would scream and uproar and demand vengeance. And so I think in that case, if this was a legitimate case and truly she did this, I think society at that time would have demanded her death. So you're right. And so instead of killing her, she's mad. She's insane. She's gone insane. And she was influenced by the co-conspirators. So we'll kill them off, because they're not high society as she is. But we'll spare her life, even though she's allegedly to kill 650, torture and kill and drink the blood of 650 young girls. To me, logically, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I actually did I did a presentation, I think a couple of weeks ago, on the Salem witch trials, and it was a scam. It was a big scam, and it was unfortunate that innocent people, that people had to die. Period. It was just unfortunate. So for those of you who are offering tips on TikToks, offering gifts on TikTok, thank you for doing that. I sincerely appreciate you doing that. Okay, so I wanted to share that story with you guys and go from there. Now, I do want to know, I have several topics that I've already have us thinking about for next week and the week after, the week after, the week after week. But I'm curious, what would you like for me to teach on? What topic? Again, we'll do demonology in just a second. But what topic would you like for me to teach about? I'm just kind of curious about what you guys think. I've done probably pretty much everything in the paranormal. There's a lot more. Giants, okay. I know there's a 15-second. Usually there's a 15. Ghost, or the Wendigo. Yeah, we just talked about skinwalkers. Not too. Yeah, the Nephilim. We've talked about the Nephilims. Aliens and UFOs. Yep. We did that. Fairies. Okay. Yeah, It's a shame that they turn you away. The Wendigo, Skinwalker Ranch, the Banshee, science versus religion. I love science, and to me, I don't see it as a competition, but that's good. Okay. Difference between ghosts, spirits, and demons, Bigfoot, Banshee, elementals, a lot of, okay. Dog man. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Templars. We could do the Templars like on a Sunday, because it has obviously a lot of religious elements to it. Antarctica. There's something different. Let me tell you something, Joe. Joe Official on TikTok said Antarctica. Let me tell you something. Oh, I love conspiracy and Moonstar, Monstar Sports and Entertainment said conspiracy theories. Let me tell you this. There is a conspiracy. Well, all right. Dent to somebody. I forgot what it was. Dent to Jan or just pretty well. Great. There's something going on in Antarctica. Now, I don't know what it is yet. I'm doing a lot of studying on that. I'm trying to find some solid evidence. I don't want, thank you very much, Michelle. I don't want evidence that's not based on fact. You know what or because people say, well, this is evidence and it's all based on opinion. I got to tell, well, I actually did Illuminati. Matter of fact, I was given matter of fact, I talked about the Illuminati, and someone sent me a ring, and that's the ring. There it is. And the question was, and all it had in the mail was want to join. That's it. Question mark. No return address. Nothing. So they sent me this, and they asked me want to join. Now, here's what I'm thinking. First of all, the Illuminati is for powerful people who are allegedly powerful people who are very wealthy, who are highly influential. Okay, before anything else, I am a priest, and I serve people for free, and I've taken a vow of poverty. So I don't know. I don't know how that actually makes me a catch for the Illuminati. Just saying. Oh, the Seal of Solomon. Yeah. Well, we could do that maybe one day. It's interesting. Yeah, about the weight. There was a study done on that, on the weight. Yeah. I actually did. I did the presentation on the Illuminati. And that was interesting. That was very, very interesting. Cults. Yeah, the Lesser Key of Solomon. Yeah, the Lesser Key. You would join? I don't know. The Lesser Key of Solomon really is, for those of you who don't know, we can talk about that right now. I don't mind that. I don't really believe in the Lesser Key of Solomon at all, because there is serious problems with the Lesser Key of Solomon. Well, a lot. So for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, King Solomon was King David's son, and he inherited a very, very powerful kingdom. King David had obviously given him a very powerful, wealthy kingdom, and the belief is an angel had delivered a ring to Solomon, and within this ring, this insignia, which, by the way, I have an alleged Lesser Key of Solomon ring. So here is the Lesser Key of Solomon ring, alleged. There's this. Okay. It's quite big. It's pretty chunky. I mean, it really is. It's a chunky ring. I mean, it's too big, way too big for my finger. But you can see, I mean, that's pretty big. That's a pretty big ring. See. So Anyway, the whole point of the Lesser Key of Solomon is that he was given this as insignia on this ring for the sole purpose of being able to summon demons and then control them and force them to do his bidding, to build temples. And not only that, but also there were jewels inside the ring, which you saw the jewels there. So the jewels are said to be inscribed with phrases. So the first jewel in this ring gave Solomon dominion over winds. And then the second gave him dominion over birds and beasts. The third jewel gave him dominion over earth and water. And then the fourth jewel gave him dominion over the jinn. And so the ring served King Solomon as a signet ring for sealing letters and decrees, but it was also the source of supernatural powers, allegedly. So with this ring, he was able to control the winds. He was even able to fly about on a wind-borne carpet. Who does that sound like? Aladdin. It allowed him to communicate with animals, and yep, even flowers, according to the writings. But most notable, it was created for him to be able to control the jinn. So he can summon these otherworldly spirits and make them do his bidding. And he could exorcise them, he could possess them. And there was a Russian mystic who traveled in Tibet in 1920s named Nicholas Roerich. Nicholas Roerich is a reporter. It says that a Russian mystic traveled in Tibet during the 1920s. And according to Roerich, the ring was set with a fragment of a particular stone, and it described it as a chunk of a moldavite with glowing striations and have been preserved in this case. So anyway, the abbot presented Roerich with a fragment of it and revealed that the stone had been brought to earth by a messenger from Cyrus. And it goes on and on. So basically, King Solomon was sitting on his throne one morning, and he decided that Benaiah, the captain of the palace guard, needed a lesson in humility. So the story is the king summoned Benaiah and gave him an impossible mission to fulfill. He said, "I've heard rumors of a fabulous ring. It has unique power, which when a sad man gazes upon it, becomes happy. When a happy man gazes upon it, he becomes sad. And find this ring and bring it to me." So this guard set out in search for the ring, and he traveled everywhere, and he was about to give up, and he knew if he came back without it, he would be in trouble. And he went to this junk shop. This is the story, allegedly. And he approached the owner and described what he was looking for, and a ring that cheers a sad man and all this other stuff. And the shop guy said, "Come on inside." They entered the shop, and he gave it to the guard, and the guard read the inscription, nodded very happily, and headed back to the palace. Well, Solomon was expecting an unsuccessful and a humbled Benaiah, but when he strode in and handed him the ring, the king was taken back. Inspecting it, he read the inscription and let out a melancholy sigh. And King Solomon removed his costly rings, slipped on the ring from the junk shop, and he said, "It was I who needed a lesson in humility, not you." And anyway, that's the whole point. And by the way, for those of you who want to know, the ring is reminded. He said, "The ring reminded me that wealth and power are fleeting things." And there's a Yiddish phrase that was inscribed on this ring. And in English, this Yiddish phrase said, "This too shall pass." So there's another story. It's also said that Saint Michael delivered the ring to King Solomon, and it was created by God in heaven. And so the point is, in Arabic legend, the ring was given to Solomon from heaven and was made of brass and iron. But the seal is eventually found by a fisherman, and it then served to Solomon in a fish. So that's another story. The point is, there are several stories about how this ring came about. I am not a fan at all of this particular Seal of Solomon, the Ring of Solomon, at all. The idea, because here's why, and here's what's happening. The Lesser Key of Solomon is being really, really pushed around on social media. I have had a case, several, where young girls, it seems, which is kind of strange, I don't know, but young girls in 13, 14, 15, they find out about the Lesser Key of Solomon by online websites, and then they take these insignias that are the alleged insignias of the Lesser Key of Solomon, and then what they do is they will use a Ouija board or any other device for the sole purpose to summon a demon, because they think that now, because they have the insignia that they found online, because they have been told that Solomon, with this insignia, was able to control and manipulate and force demons to do their bidding. That's where this all comes from, the Lesser Key of Solomon. That the demon is able to will obey whatever command that this person does. So I have had cases where where a possession occurred because the young girl had the Lesser Key of Solomon. She had this something that she printed out. It was all kinds on all four corners, because she said she read online, you have to have all four corners, you have to have the salt, you have to have candles, all this stuff. And she had everything laid out, and then she had a Ouija board out, and there was, it even told her what demon. So whatever she wanted, whatever she was looking for, whatever she was going through, there was a particular demon that she could summon, and this demon would do her bidding. All she had to do is make sure that she had the insignia around her. And that's what she did. And that's how possession started. Because she found out very, very, very quickly that the insignia did not control demons, that the insignia was just a big fat lie to entice someone to believe that you can control a demon to do your bidding for the sole purpose of personal desire. And that's how the invitation occurred. Yeah, that's how it's really crazy. It really is sad to me. That's why I don't like people going online and saying these type of things, because a lot of kids are very influenced by things, and so this is what I don't like. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of people doing that, and unfortunately, it has. So, okay, yeah, it is. It's a sigil for summons. You're right. That's exactly what it is, and that's what. And unfortunately, it's being passed on to others who are easily influenced to believe that you can use this sigil to control demons, when in fact, it's purposefully misleading people, because it's not used for summoning. It's not used for controlling demons. It's used for summoning demons. And that's something that people should stay very, very far away. But unfortunately, you know what? No, Joan of Arc. Yeah, the Joan of Arc sword is very, very interesting. There's I don't know if you call it conspiracy theory, but from my understanding, I believe it was found. There was a church. I can't remember the name of the church that it was found, but Saint Catherine, I believe it was found with her. I believe so, but I think that's correct. Yeah, now keep in mind, now, and you may not know this. Please don't mention demonic names. You may not know that in the chat room. So just because I didn't remind people. So please remember, we don't mention demonic names. Okay. because that is a form of summoning. And sometimes I forget to remind people of that, but just don't, because again, as I've said a million times, once you do that, that's very dangerous. So we don't summon, we don't mention there really is no need. There really is no need to mention a demonic name, none. So kind of just stay away from doing that, because you're going. Unfortunately, if you do, you're going to be banned. I'm just gonna remind you, you're gonna be banned. So it's don't do that. So okay. Chicken bones, I don't know. I'm not for sure. I haven't read up on the Joan of Arc and whether or not it be chicken bones. I'm not really for sure. So, but that's a good. Maybe that's something to look into. Yeah, interesting. The Lord's Prayer in Aramaic is beautiful. And you can't. The closer you get to God, the harder the devil is going to work against you. And so you got to remember that this is a prayer that Christ taught us to pray, and so don't be fearful of that. And even if you do fear that, or even you do feel that there's something evil next to you or around you, look, the moment that you bow your head and pray, that's the moment the demons tremble. So let them tremble, because they know in the end, folks, they know the end of the story. They know it, and they're going to do everything they can to try to change it. But sorry, but the Cliff version is already out. We already know how it's going to end. Whether they can stomp their foot and do as much destruction as they're possibly going to do, no doubt about it. But the point is, don't allow them to frighten you. Don't allow them to don't. I tell people all the time, do not be their victim. That's it. That's all there is to it. And when I feel that a demonic is attacking me or trying to cause problems on me, that's my mantra. I will not be your victim. I won't do it. And that is your mantra. That is something that you got to stand behind and stand firm, and just simply do that. The rock that killed Abel and didn't the devil. Well, the devil knows what's going to happen in the end. The devil is absolutely no question about that. And keep praying the Our Father in Aramaic. Yeah, Sky Traffic, the Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sky Traffic 703 on TikTok. That is actually based on a true story. Her name is Annalise Mikkel. That is her name. And I have an extensive case file on Annalise Mikkel. I don't have my speaker, but I do have a soundbite of an exorcism that I've played before. And that actually is from one of her exorcisms. And it was a terrible situation that people don't know. Annalise Mikkel, she was 68 pounds when she passed away. Can you imagine? 68 pounds. 68 pounds. And she was, to me, I find it appalling. She died of malnutrition, dehydration. And so I find what they did to her, I think it was unacceptable, truly unacceptable. And unfortunately, it's one of those things. But they should have stopped the exorcisms. 10 months. They should have stopped it, and they should have said, "Look, we can proceed later, but right now you need medical attention now." But she refused it. And the Canaanites. Well, obviously the Canaanites were from the land of Canaan. It's the eastern on the on the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, and that is where it's extending from Lebanon, of course, to the Brook of Egypt in the south, and that's the area in the south in the Jordan Valley, Jordan River Valley, in the east. So they were known to be wicked, idolatrous people. They were. It was interesting because they were descendants from Noah's grandson, Canaan, who was the son of Ham, and we saw. I believe that's Genesis 9 verse 18. So you can check that out. And by the way, Canaan was cursed. For those of you who don't know, Canaan was cursed because of his and his father's sin against Noah. And that Genesis 9 verse 20. And so the Canaanites specifically refers to the people of the lowland plains of Canaan. So there we go. Okay. I'm doing very well, very well. Thank you very much. What do you say? It's been a long time since we talked. Yeah. Ward off negative energy. Okay. People ask me this a lot. How do you ward off negative energy? Okay, first, folks, listen to me carefully on this. Prayer, and I know this sounds. People are gonna say, okay, whatever. No, it's not whatever. Prayer is something you must do. So if you feel like you're being attacked, if you're like you're being assaulted by demonic or evil, prayer. You pray the Our Father. I'm very devoted to Mary, so I will pray the Hail Mary. Also, no doubt about the Saint Michael prayer. Now, there's the short form and there's the long form of prayer that you can do, and the short form is what I tell people is just fine. And so I pray that often, all the time. You know, they say, Michael, the archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him. We humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all of those spirits who wander the earth seeking the ruin of souls. I mean, really, you memorize it and you can just spit it right out. And but that is a prayer that I pray often, as you can tell, and so I would put that to memory. So that is what I would do. Okay. Definitely. Saint Michael, the Our Father. I pray the Rosary, and so now keep in mind, Psalm 91 is beautiful. Psalm 91 is known as the Exorcist prayer, and I also love Psalm 23. And again, I don't know why this computer on this iPad has decided to turn my face kind of. For those of you who are watching me on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, it's normal. But for some reason on my iPad, it looks like I have a pumpkin face. Looks like I'm already ready for fall, which I am, by the way. Bring it on! I am so ready for fall. I'm ready for winter. I am ready for winter right now. But it's so serious. It looks like. I mean, I'm not saying bad or good. I'm not. But it looks like I might be, Donald Trump's son over here. I'm just saying. I don't see. You guys can't see it. You guys are like, I don't know what you're talking about on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. But on the iPad, on TikTok, it doesn't look. Seriously, it doesn't look. And maybe it's mine. I don't know. A spray tan? No, I don't have spray tan. No, let me tell you something. I am naturally blonde. If I were to go into a spray tan salon, my hair would be tan because I'd forget to put on the net. I'm telling you, it's a filter. Oh, well, how do I turn that filter off? Oh, I didn't know it was a filter. See, I just pushed the power, the go button. It's like, and we're going. So that it's a filter. Well, that's interesting. Bishop Jack-O-Lantern. Oh, the haters are already going to say it. I know it now. I know it's going to. Bishop Jack-O-Lantern. There we go. Swipe left. Oh. Okay. Good connection, real-time performance, duration. All right. Swipe right. There's all the people talking. I swiped left and I swiped right. Folks, when it comes to technology, honestly, I like technology, but I have no idea what I'm doing in technology. I really don't. I'll be, but it really does look like I'm related to Donald Trump here. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Sounds like you're doing Tinder. What is Tinder? JSMD at a man. I got to put my reading glasses on. Isn't that terrible? JSMD a man. What is Tinder? A dating site. Oh, no. No, I don't. I don't. No. That was funny. That was a funny. That was a funny thing. That was funny. No, I'm not getting on it. I promise you. Swipe left, swipe right. Yeah, I promise you. I guess that's what you got to do on Tinder. So it's all good. Again, I don't take offense to that at all. I just didn't know what it was. So okay. So there we go. Don't use Tinder, everybody. Yeah, it's a really cool background. I do like the background. Yeah, I used to have the green screen, but you guys, unfortunately, you guys, it didn't come through quite that great. So, it's one of those things. Sorry, but I used to love the green screen because I could have all kinds of different colors. Okay. Let's see what's some questions that you have. So I told you we go into some paranormal questions, and so please, I'll be more than happy to do so, and kind of go from there. All right. No, I'm celibate. I don't want to use a Catholic mingle or whatever that is. I'm not really interested in that. So, but I appreciate that. Okay. Multi-galaxies. I do. I absolutely. I am convinced that. I am convinced that there is something else out there. I love space. I love science. But I do believe there's something going out there, and so yes, yeah. Prayer for divorce. Oh goodness. Well, I'm very, very sorry about that situation. There's a prayers for unexpected divorce. I of course, I love the Psalms because we pray the Psalms at night prayer Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join us, by the way, if you want to join us for night prayer, it's Spreaker, Spreaker, Spreaker.com/show/night prayer. Night prayer is all one word. And you can certainly join us, and we'd love to have you. It's the same prayer that we prayed when I was in the seminary. And so it's something that I love. We pray Psalms quite often in night prayer. But I would say Psalm 34. I love Psalm 34, verse 15 through 18. That's a beautiful psalm. So for those of you who are going through an unexpected divorce, I certainly would pray that. And when I say pray, is you read it, you hear it, you ask God to help guide you through this and give you the strength. But Psalm 34, verses 15 through 18. Okay, so that's that would be a good start. Okay. Sasquatch, I got to tell you something. Who asked that question? Because I like, isn't it terrible? That's the problem when you got to get reading glasses. Mid Stephen. Let me tell you something about Sasquatch. I do believe there's something there, and here's why. I've had individuals. I've had a game warden on the show prior to me going live with you guys, when I was just doing the paranormal show online, just strictly radio. I had a game warden from Alaska as a guest, and he is absolutely convinced. I mean, we're talking, he knows, there's no doubt about it. He knows he saw a Bigfoot. He knows he did. Folks, look, if you're a game warden in Alaska, you gonna know the difference between a moose, a bear, and a big old a bipedal Sasquatch. I mean, you can't, if you get a bear and a moose confused together and you don't know which is which, then you shouldn't probably be a game warden in Alaska. Just saying. This guy has been Alaskan all his life, and he grew up in the woods. So I mean, he's an Alaskan game warden, for goodness sakes. And he has nothing to gain by lying. He's not selling books. He's not doing, and he is 100% convinced that he saw a massive 8-10 foot bipedal creature that was absolutely not a bear. And he described what, I mean, he's convinced. So, okay, necromancy. No. Let me explain necromancy. First of all, the reason is necromancy was written in the Old Testament, and the reason that it was forbidden, and the reason is it talks about psychics and soothsayers, is because and I've said this so many times, but that's okay. You might be new and maybe didn't check out that particular shows that I've talked about this, and that's all right. In this time, the reason why it was written in Scripture, you can't see psychic, you can't mediums or soothsayers or necromancy, is because what was occurring during this time that the passage was written was there was a lot of fraud. There were people that were intermediaries between the living and the dead. And so they would be the ones that you would go to that would call themselves psychics, soothsayers, and you would offer a shekel, money, to appease the gods, because it was paganism. It had multiple gods. So you had a god of rain, god of earth, god of water, god of planet, god of dirt, god of whatever. And so what was happening is when your loved one passed away, you would go to these intermediaries and you would say, okay, here's your fee for this god. Here's your fee for that god. Because you want to appease these gods, because it was taught that if you did not, then the god would punish your loved one forever in Hades. And that they would actually raise them up, necromancy, and punish them for eternity. So because they would have control. And that was the threat that these intermediaries told the Jewish people at the time, that this is what's going to happen, that this God is going to raise your loved one up and they're going to punish them forever. So then you are forced basically to give certain shekels, the amount, same equal to all the gods. Well, then you would go to these people, these intermediaries, and they'd say, oh, no, we don't have 35 gods today. We have 40. Now there's 45. Now there's 50. And by the way, 5 shekels is not enough. That's not enough appeasement. You need to do 10 shekels for each god. And if you didn't, then that particular god would get angry, get vengeful towards your loved one, raise them up, and then punish them forever in Hades. That was the abomination. Please understand that you're talking 5,000 years history here, folks. There's a lot of history. Language changes. The same language that we use today, the same vocabulary that we use today, is not the same vocabulary they used in ancient Hebrew time. So therefore, their understanding what a psychic medium is not what our understanding of what psychic mediums are today. It's two different things. These people were, well, frauds, plain and simple. And they made a substantial amount of money, telling people that, oh yeah, your loved one is going to be punished forever in Hades, and it was extortion. That's exactly, it is extortion. And what makes me stay in the line of work, because God has called me to do this work. And I didn't choose this life. I didn't choose this ministry. I chose to accept God's call. But I never said, "Oh, I'll be an exorcist one day." That was never in my plans. What was in my plans is I'm going to be a parish priest for the rest of my life. And, if the church called me to serve in any leadership role, okay, fine. If not, fine. But this was not something that I sought out. You don't seek out the title of exorcist. That's not something you seek. That's ego. That's something that God calls you to do. And so this is why I continue to do my ministries, because I feel strongly that God has called me to serve in this ministry. And, there we go. I think there are still prophets even today. I don't know if I'm concerned with so many people calling them prophets, and then you hear them say, "I'm a prophet and I also know the end of time." Well, that's not a prophet. That's a false prophet, because it was Jesus who made it very, very clear that no man knows the hour or time as to when Christ will come again. No man. Not even the angels above in heaven, Jesus said. So I'm deeply concerned with people who use the term "I'm a prophet" and they go on social media and then they start espousing that that somehow they know the secret knowledge. That's Gnosticism. That they know the secret knowledge as to when the end of the world will come. No, they don't. No, they don't. No. Well, I have been answering questions, but boy, I tell you, some people are just rude, aren't they? Viceroy 12345, and he was blocked. Get out of here, I mean, I've been answering questions now since 7:45, for actually a lot longer than that. I just talked for 20 minutes on the alleged vampire woman. So yeah, get the boot, get out of here. Yeah, you've seen those kind of TikToks. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite a few of them, and that's I'm not a fan of those. No, I don't like that. Let me just say this. Look, I am not a fan of any device, because people ask me about what about EVP work, and because the EVP stands for electronic voice phenomena. So you use a digital recorder and you record messages or you record voices that you don't hear. Let me just make this very clear. Using any device, I don't care what it is. I could use my glasses. Of course, the point of the glasses was not to use this to communicate with the spirit world. The point of these glasses was that you can see. They're reading glasses. Any device that you use, I don't care what it is, any device that you use with the intent to communicate with the spirit world can be dangerous. And people sometimes don't want me to say that, but I'm not going to lie about this. I'm not going to, because you don't know who you're communicating with. That's the problem. And people always talk about portals. Portals are nothing magical, folks. Portals, I can use this as a portal. Portal is an object that you use to communicate with the spirit world. You are opening a portal. And the problem is you can't say, well, I'm going to only the good spirits can come through. Well, the demonic entities, the invitation is given out. It doesn't work that way. It does not. Again, people can say they disagree. That's fine. I am not giving you my opinion. I am giving you facts from cases that I have worked, where people have used many items and tools to communicate with the spirit world, and then all hell breaks loose in their home. So I'm telling you information not only from my experience, everything that I read since 9 years old, but all the cases that I have worked. And I'm telling you, folks, you can disagree all you want, and that's fine. But I'm just here to tell you what I've experienced. And you can kind of go, you take it from there. You take it from there. I'm not here to be anybody's parent, but I'm here to tell you what I've experienced. Yeah, see, I know people, I know children who are quite gifted and who have the gift. I am not a psychic medium. I know people who are very credible who say that they are. Now, I would strongly suggest that if you have a child who believes that they are seeing or speaking, now, again, and I mean no offense to this at all, so please understand. But remember, I go everything with a logical perspective first. Everything is logical first. So I would say let's rule out anything that might be that causes through medical, the hallucinations, because there are medical issues, diseases that can cause hallucinations. There's medicine that can cause hallucinations. So my immediate skeptical mind goes into there, right? Otherwise, I think every single child who says that they see, I would think that there's billions of children out there who are mediums. So my advice to you is this: if there are no psychological illnesses, if there's no medicine that's causing the hallucination, if there's no tumor, whatever it might be. Again, I'm not trying to frighten anybody. I'm just simply saying there can be logical explanations for someone hallucinating. That's it. But I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just simply saying, let's look at the medical first. And then when that is completely eradicated and you're convinced that there's something there, then I would say you need to speak to someone who is a psychic medium, who is reputable, and who has anybody can call themselves a psychic medium. I mean, anybody can. That doesn't make you one. I mean, I know a lot of people who call themselves psychic medium. They're a psychic medium as you know, this bottle of water. So you have to do your own homework there. But that's what I would do, is I would find someone that you can trust and go from there. So there we go. Again, that's what I would do. Okay. You're dreaming. I didn't get the question. Yeah, a lot of people call themselves prophets and things of this nature, but yeah, what are you going to do? I'm not here to judge anybody. It's not my thing. But a lot of people have asked me if I'd be willing to do some type of prayer, at the end, and so yeah, we can do that, before we leave. My favorite wine, I don't drink wine. They're online. The classes are online. And you can go to Bishop James Long, LONG.com. Bishop James Long, LONG. And then you can go to click on the class link. Okay. And if you click on the class link, it'll take you right to the link, and you can sign up there. And it's all online. So it's all online. And there you go. Okay. Sometimes I wanted to be a Ghostbuster like myself, like Zach. Yeah, well, I'm friends with Zach, and but Zach has paid the price for inviting. And I told him a long time ago on Ghost Adventures that he's got to be very, very careful. He needs to stop inviting. So I've never been to Rome, but I would love to go to Rome. Actually, I would love to go to. Probably number one on my bucket list is Israel. I would love to go to Israel. Love it. That would be a definite, no question, that would be a dream of a lifetime. To be able to walk the path that Christ walked, and to be able to go to the historical places would just it would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I would truly love to do that. Maybe one day. I'll win that lottery, and then we'll take a field trip. Have you heard of a Jerusalem syndrome? I have not. Yeah, the Ghostbusters movie, of course, it's entertainment. Anybody who's ever been paranormal investigating, if you're a paranormal investigator, it's not like that. A lot of time, to be honest with you, if you're a paranormal investigator, a lot of time is you're sitting there, you're going over the equipment, you're using the equipment. You might get some bangs, you might get a disembodied voice. You might get a few things occurring. That's why when I see a bunch of videos on TikTok and it's just everything is breaking, everything's going crazy. It's like, right, you know what I mean? It's red flags, because if you've done enough investigating, you know that those are unbelievably rare, and I mean really rare. So excellent. Well, good. Well, I hope we'll certainly go there. User Ricardo, is that what it says? Oh yeah. I asked JS. What is it? JSM. Yeah. Okay. Well, he paid the price. Zach paid the price by, and I told him a long time ago that, when he came to the church, that he has to be very careful about what he's doing, because there's serious consequences. And he and I talked, and he had some serious activity occur in his home. And I told him, I said, I think it's a good idea for you to talk about it. I think it's a good idea for you to let people know how serious this is. I'm not going to go into what happened, but he talked a little bit about that he had some really serious activity. And he contacted me, and, we worked through that. But, he's paid the price. And I told him, I said, Zach, he said, well, I have to provoke in order, because I am an executive producer. I'm the owner of Ghost Adventures, and I'm producing a show. So I understand that, Zach, but do you realize that you're not provoking? What you're doing is not provoking. What you're doing is inviting. And that has some very serious long-term consequences for it. And he has certainly experienced that. Poltergeist, yeah, I made a brief video on a duet. Well, actually, not a duet. It was someone asked me a Q&A, and I put that on TikTok. Someone was asking me about poltergeist, and how can you tell if in fact it's a poltergeist versus a demonic or malevolent spirit of an attachment. And these are just from my experiences, because I've had poltergeist cases before, and I've had quite a few demonic cases, but there is a difference between the two. First of all, a poltergeist is negative energy that someone or individuals are omitting. They're going through extreme emotional stress, fighting, losing their job. We're talking extreme stress. So when that particular family member is home, you will have appliances catching fire. You also have light bulbs bursting. You can have bangings will occur, but often not in threes. So there are several things that mimic demonic infestation. If you have a demonic attachment, then obviously you're going home. You thereby automatically you have infestation. So religious objects are going to be desecrated. You're going to be hear bangings of three, which is the mocking of the Trinity. Animals are terrified. They're not as terrified. When you have a poltergeist case, in my experience, I have not found animals to be as terrified as a demonic entity. So if there's a demonic entity that's present, the hair will stack on the back of their neck. They will growl. They will become very aggressive, or either very frightened, and they will run. Whereas a poltergeist, because the person is emitting such negative energy, I have found from my cases that animals tend to steer away from them. A complete difference between a demonic, where they're terrified, they're seeing something and they are terrified, or they go in full protective mode. If you remove the person who is emitting the extreme emotional stress, if you remove them from the home, the activity will either stop or you'll have residual energy, which is very limited. So in other words, the energy is still there, but it's on a dramatic level, lower. versus that's not the same with demonic infestation. And so that's really the big things that I have found with the poltergeist versus the demonic. Well, some mid, I can't see your name. Someone asking what causes sleep paralysis. I've talked about this many times as well. I've had a neurologist on the show, and he educated everybody about what sleep paralysis is. What it because a lot of people, there's people who are saying sleep paralysis is demonic. That is so stupid. Not all sleep paralysis is demonic. That is just that is an armchair demonologist or an armchair investigator who basically has never ever taken cases of time in their life. And they read something, or they go on YouTube, they watch a video, and then they go on TikTok and they make videos. They're armchair demonologists. Basically, that's people who absolutely should not be teaching anything when it comes to the paranormal, because they're not taking on any cases. So when you have sleep paralysis can be a case of demonic. However, this is what happens with sleep paralysis. And listen very carefully. I'm sure I'll repeat this again. There are two types of sleep paralysis. There is what is called ISP, and that is called intermittent sleep paralysis. And then there is RISP, which is recurrent isolated sleep paralysis. So when you're going to sleep or when you're waking up, if you see this image of a horrible image, scary image, a black shadow, whatever it might be, and it only occurs when you're going to sleep or waking up, that probably is called sleep paralysis. If you're not having religious objects desecrated, if you're not having the smell of sulfur, if your animals are not frightened, if you're not having bangings of three, if all these things are not occurring, and the only thing that is occurring, which is terrifying, is that you are in a paralytic state, you can't move for 30 seconds up to a minute, and you see this horrible figure, and it always happens when you're going to sleep or waking up, that can be explained logically. And that is not demonic. That is what is called sleep paralysis. And this comes from a neurosurgeon that I had on the show as a guest. Now, RISP, which is recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, that's a little scarier. Intermittent sleep paralysis is a bit different. Those are short, and those usually they can actually, depends on how long the brain, the conscious, takes control of the skeletal system, it can last up to half an hour. Now, there have been cases where people who have had RISP, recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, and that can last up to an hour or longer. And that is terrifying. So, I mean, imagine if you have RISP, but that's recurrent. That's not intermittent. That happens all the time. But that could be very scary, and I can understand that. I completely understand that. So the neurosurgeon said that people who have isolated sleep paralysis, they should really be tested for narcolepsy, because narcolepsy attacks are more common when the individual is falling asleep. So ISP and RISP attacks are more common on awakening. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're having it often, if you have sleep paralysis and it occurs quite often, and it's scary, it is scary, then he said, not I, because I'm not a doctor, that you should be tested for narcolepsy. So basically, for those of you who are aware of it, when it's demonic, you will see this vision regardless of what time it is. So if you have a paralysis state, it can happen in the afternoon, it can happen in the morning, it can happen in the evening, you're wide awake. And that's when you have an incubus and succubus attack. But if you're just having it when you're waking up or going to sleep, it's probably just sleep paralysis. But again, they are scary. And so you probably need to get, I mean, if you have these things, my advice is to speak to your doctor about them and get tested. And that's what I would say. Okay. Well, the mods are not muting random people. The moderators will mute people and block people if they mention demonic names, which we've said many times stop doing, or if they're spamming, or if they're being rude. So that's why we mute and that's why we block, and rightfully so, because it's pretty simple. We just ask people, don't mention demonic names, don't spam, and don't be rude. There we go. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay. So a lot of people, that's fine, but I'm just, you can think that if you want to believe that everything is demonic, well, then this, some people, just, I don't know, no matter what you think. Okay. So, and the reason is I have these online shows is so that I can answer your questions, because I can't get to the emails. I tried to do the best I can, but and thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate that. I really, truly appreciate that. So thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions, or are we pretty much, we're going to wrap the show up? Shana Long 30, are you going to go live? Well, you can certainly, is it Black Fur Wolf? Again, I would certainly say the St. Michael prayer, and I would also pray the Our Father. Okay, well, Shannon Long 30 is going to go live. User 88 something, it went so fast. First of all, if you walk into a place that has demonic infestation, you're going to know it. There's no question about it. There's no doubt about it. It is overwhelming. The sense of dread, sometimes the smell of sulfur, or it is your back will begin to hurt. You will feel sick to your stomach. It is nausea. I mean, it is overwhelming, the presence. You don't have to guess. There is no guessing involved. And prayers. The moment you begin praying in the demonic infestation case, the activity becomes very violent, because that's actually a form of provocation. So people throw holy water around like it's tap water, and you got to be very, very careful, very, very careful about that. So I tell people, the book of Esther. I like the book of Esther. It's what's interesting is the main character in the book of Esther is never named. And I thought that it's present, that the person is present and active. They don't speak, but it's. I think it's a very, very interesting book, and I strongly encourage people to read it. You should. Okay, it is a beautiful. I think it's a beautiful book. So, I mean, there's a lot of lessons on the book of Esther, and. The main, and I always tell people this, because it reminds us that the book of Esther reminds us that when we are in pain, God is there with us. God is suffering with us. And he never stops fighting for us on our behalf. And I think it's a very uplifting and powerful book. So, okay. So I think we're about to close things up here pretty soon, because let's see, what does it say? Okay, yep. Please make sure you go to night prayer. Night prayer is tonight. Night prayer is tonight, and we'll do a quick prayer before we leave. Night prayer is this evening. Spreaker.com/show/night prayer. Night prayer is all one word. So let's pray, everybody, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord Jesus, please forgive us for all the times that we have not submitted to you. Forgive us for all the sinfulness and for agreeing at times in life with the enemy and his lies. We now submit to you as our Lord. Dear Jesus, now we break every agreement that we have made with the enemy. Lord Christ, please have your angels remove and bind to the abyss all demons and their devices that had access to us because we believed their lies. We now ask that you establish a hedge of protection around us, over us, and under us, and seal it with your blood, Lord Jesus Christ. We now choose to put on the full armor of God and ask that you cleanse us and seal us, body, mind, soul, and spirit, with your blood, Lord Jesus Christ. Please have your angels bind up and remove all demons, their devices, and all their power from within this protective hedge, and have them sent to the abyss. And please have your warriors destroy all demonic, occult, all evil assignments directed against us, including all backups and replacements. And please have your warriors remove all trafficking people and send them back to their own bodies. Seal them with your blood, Lord Jesus Christ, and have your angels stand guard over us and protect us from all the attacks of the enemy. And we pray, St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all evil spirits who wander the earth seeking the ruin of souls. May Almighty God bless you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, for my friends there on Spreaker, I'm going to say a good night to you guys, and I hope that you have a very, very beautiful evening. I'll see you guys a little later. My friends, I always tell you, and I want you to remember, and I truly mean this, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. Remember, you are priceless, and never let anybody convince you otherwise. God bless. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course.